Welcome back to my channel, everyone. On today's menu is this turkey cassoulet packed with smoky sausage, bacon, veggies, savory broth, and tender dark turkey meat, all paired with a very elegant Pommes Anna that's crispy on the outside and buttery potatoes on the inside. A big shout out to my partner Tramontina for providing some incredible cookware for these holiday-inspired recipes, so be sure to check out some of their products that you'll see in this video. But without further ado, let's dive into the recipe. So first up, I'm gonna get this brazier on high heat. I'm gonna sear my turkey legs. So I'm gonna get these seasoned with some salt and pepper. Good amount of salt, because this is gonna transfer into the braising liquid. I'm gonna make sure this is good and seasoned, all right? Pepper. And then we're just gonna sear these off in a nice cast iron brazier from Tramontina. All right, yeah, looks good. Gonna give just a little bit of oil, not much. And then we're gonna sear these off, skin side down. And the idea here is just to get a really good caramelization in the pan and on the turkey. So when you go to deglaze it, whether it's with water or liquor or both, have a really dark, rich broth that you end up with. That one needs a little bit longer. Of course, you don't have to use your hands to turn these like I do, but just make sure you're kind of constantly moving them around so that the liquid that's leaching out of the turkey does a little bit of a natural deglaze on the pan. Transfer these over to a tray. That one lost a little bit of skin, but that's okay. Now I have this pan that has some of the turkey drippings in the bottom and that fond or that dark sort of sticky stuff that sticks to the bottom of the pan that has some wonderful flavor with it. And first thing I'm gonna do, quarter up my onion. Big old cuts like this. Crushed garlic. And it's always important, I don't know if it's necessary, but having pork product, especially like cured pork products such as a sausage or a bacon or both, is very important in a cassoulet. It really gives it that depth of flavor and that fat content that you want, because you want it to be really rich. So we're gonna put some of the thick cut bacon in there. I might not use all of it because I'm using sausage as well, but you want to keep this chunky so it doesn't get too lost. You could also use pancetta, ham hock, things like that. And then this is a spicy pork sausage. Just want a thick cut, do a little bit more. Again, make sure these are big, they go in. Give this a good stir, and you're just gonna kind of let everything render a little bit, get a little bit of color, kind of meld. Smells amazing. It's like this sweet caramelized onion with the smoky sausage and the bacon, and of course the garlic is that ultimate home vibe when you fry garlic. I don't know, it just reminds me of home. Next up is the mirepoix, other than the onions, because that's already in there. So carrots and celery, and then we're just gonna give these a wash. Just gonna cut the tops off and the bottoms, so they're kind of a little fibrous. And again, thick cuts, you don't want this to get lost. And since I want this maybe to be kind of fancy, do it on a bias, so just on an angle. Move that out of the way. Nice, pretty like little diamonds almost. That's gonna go in. Same thing with these, I'm not peeling them, just give them a good wash. Except with this, I'm gonna do a roll chop. Keep these like nice and chunky, very stew-like almost. Let's go in. Gentle stir. Try not to break up the bacon or the sausage too much. You want to keep those nice and whole and intact as best you can. All right, so now that the pan is back up to temperature, you can hear it really sizzling good. I'm gonna deglaze it with a bit of water and some red wine of your choice, of course. And this is optional, but it does bring a lot of body and a lot of flavor to the cassoulet, and it darkens the braising liquid quite a bit. Now we're gonna let that cook out the alcohol for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna add my beans. All right, that looks good. So I did a little bit of a switcheroo. As you guys can see, I swapped the pans because I originally wanted to finish the cassoulet in this pan and just sear off the legs in here, and I got a little carried away, but that's all right. So the alcohol is cooked out of the wine, and now I'm gonna add in my beans. And I'm not too worried about, you can soak these, let me just say that first. You can soak these and get ahead of it if you want. I'm not too worried about it, so I'm just gonna add these straight to the bubbling broth. Give that just a little bit of a stir, and since this does have quite a bit of cooking time ahead of it, those beans will tenderize and get really beautiful. So now I'm gonna add my turkey leg. All right, make sure they're kind of submerged. Last but not least, bay leaves, a couple sprigs of rosemary. I'm gonna do some torn parsley and the stem, and then some thyme sprigs as well. All right, that's good. Now, the best part about this is I actually have a lid. A lot of the pans, or the pots and pans that I have in my house, do not have a lid, and this makes life so much easier when you're making a cassoulet, because you want this to be completely encapsulated with all those juices and flavors just kind of steaming and bubbling and injecting themselves into that turkey meat. Otherwise, I'd have to make a cartouche, which is not a big problem, but it's nice to always have a really heavy duty lid, especially in a pot like this. Okay, on to the Pommes Anna. So let's get into this one. These Yukon Gold potatoes, they're slightly starchy, but they're really tender, beautiful. They have a wonderful flavor. They're not too starchy, which makes them really just perfect for this dish. You can use a knife if you're really skilled, but I definitely recommend using a mandolin for this. See if this is the right consistency or thickness. Maybe a little bit thinner. There you go. That's it. So thin, not paper thin, but definitely thin. Thinner than like a scalloped potato, for sure. I might add a few more if I need it, but I have my warm pan here. I'm gonna turn it up just ever so slightly. Put a nice pat of butter on the bottom. Just kind of let that melt. You don't want it to sizzle or anything like that, just to melt. You're gonna do just a little bit of salt on the bottom so you don't miss that last or the first layer of seasoning. So now I'm gonna start layering, overlapping as I go. All the way around until we kind of hit that edge, and then we can go in the middle. Finish that little line. Perfect. You can start from the middle if you want. Now let's put one potato right in that middle. And we're gonna do some melted butter. And look at this beautiful saucepan from Tramontina. Wonderful depth. It's definitely still hot from the melted butter. Wonderful depth and just an absolutely beautifully built pan. Love this. Simple, but very elegant. Okay, so you're just gonna repeat the process until you have a nice thin stack of these layered potatoes. Of course, you can go a little bit thicker if you want, but really the whole idea with this dish is to make it thick enough so it still has some of that creaminess that the potatoes have to offer, but also thin enough that it's not battling constant moisture, so it can crisp up and get that signature Pommes Anna look. Now that I'm done with this final layer, I'm gonna turn the heat up to high, and then I'm gonna crisp the bottom of this until it's nice and what I believe will be golden brown, because you can't see it until you do the final reveal. So that's the tricky part about this recipe. That last little bit of butter. And let's get this crispy. As soon as this comes up to temp, starts boiling, and you can tell there's this slight sort of sizzling caramelization happening, you're gonna throw this into a 350-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how thick your stacks are. Now I'm going to be slicing up some scallions and some parsley just to finish up both of the dishes once I plate them, and it'll just add a nice little pop of green to the dish as well as a little bit of freshness. Here I have some really beautiful scallions, thinly sliced. Oh man, I love this Santuco. It has all those little grooves so nothing really sticks to the knife too much. It's kind of just easily slice through these scallions. And believe it or not, Tramontina has been around selling their products in the United States for about 30 years. And they were founded in Brazil. They're a Brazilian company since 1911. So they've been around for quite some time. And boy, I tell you what, man, I am happy that they are selling their products in the US, because I just love their lineup. Super, super high quality materials, sustainable. They're definitely green focused. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I recently went on a sailboat, this beautiful sustainable sailboat called Voice of the Oceans with Tramontina, and some of their initiatives to keep their manufacturing processes on their toes with how they think of manufacturing in a green environment nowadays. All right, so that's perfect parsley. And most of the products, I believe almost all the products I've been using in this video are from Tramontina. And man, I just absolutely love their products. And they actually sell way more than just cookware at Tramontina. They're a massive company that sells a variety of different products, but they really have a passion for food, sustainability, and so they're definitely deeply aligned with that culture, which I'm very appreciative of, and I can see it in their products. I mean, just look how beautiful this cast iron enamel Dutch oven is. Beautiful color. This isn't actually normally the color I would go for, but my wife and I have sort of been talking about just amping up our cookware in sort of an eclectic way, just so it's a little bit more interesting than just stainless steel and cast iron, dark cast iron, you know, pots and pans. So this is just absolutely a beautiful piece of cookware, especially with the brazier too. Nice little matching set. Lots of different ways you can use this. Baking bread, braises, stews, soups. You know, you put it on the stove, it retains the heat. All right, so let me check on the potatoes. Maybe 10 more minutes. See how this is. Oh man, nothing like cassoulet. Ooh, love this. Ooh, it smells so good. Everything looks like it's just about to be ready. The first thing I'm gonna be doing, pull one of these out, the turkey legs, and I'm gonna crisp it up in the oven on this little sizzle tray. And I'm gonna put this in the oven just to crisp up that skin for a nice, beautiful presentation for the cassoulet. Turkey legs in the oven, and now I'm gonna check the potatoes to see if they're done, which I believe they are. Oh, those look so good. Pull these out, and then now the tricky part. I gotta invert this. So there's a lot of ways you could do this. If you are new to doing like a little inversion with a hot pan, I would recommend waiting for it to cool down so you don't burn yourself if you're not confident. And if you really want to make sure that this comes out and you don't have to worry about much, you can actually refrigerate it, let it set, invert it, and then throw it back in the oven just to crisp up. And that's actually a really easy way to do it. So, but now I like to do things the complicated way. Woo. I mean, this is just so satisfying. So I'm gonna let that cool down just for a second, and I'm gonna see how my turkey leg is. Set this off to the side. Ooh, that's toasty. Man, so pretty. I love the presentation on that. It's almost like an apple tatin, but savory and potatoey. Let's see what the turkey leg looks like. Right onto that. And I'm gonna use, you can use the whole thing, but I'm just gonna use this little piece, kind of score that skin. And look at this beautiful cleaver from Tramontina. I want one for a while after I lost my last one. And what's nice with this, you can actually, I don't even know if I think you cut through that bone, you just take it right out. Whoa, that's so tender. This is perfect. All right, time to plate. Super simple plating. So the first thing that's gonna go down is this cassoulet like stew. Just gonna put it on one side, a couple of the carrots, can't forget some of these. I'm just gonna leave some room. I'm gonna put this right on the side. Right over the top. And then, this just to kind of give it that glaze. Last but not least, some scallions. Black pepper. And that is a beautiful turkey cassoulet with Pommes Anna. Now it's time for the taste test. So let me dive into this. There is something about this recipe that is just screaming cold weather remedy. Got the stewed beans, the tender turkey. Oh my gosh. The layering and the flavors on this, it's almost even hard to describe. It's so complex. The sausage, so good. Everything is very complementary of each other in this. The potatoes go with the bacon and the sausage and the beans. The turkey goes with the potatoes. The potatoes match well with the red wine, bay leaf, savory broth mixture. I mean, everything's kind of pointing at each other, and it makes for such a wonderful, complex flavor that is something you just can't get out of your mind. It's very memorable. So this kind of hopefully gives you guys some ideas to play around with it, have fun during the holidays and through the upcoming new year. I hope you guys have a chance to try out some of the Tramontina products. I highly recommend it. Just a wonderful lineup, great company, great values. Again, a big old shout out to Tramontina. Go check out tramontina.com for their products and the collaboration with these recipes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and the ingredients will be in the description box as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time with another recipe. Later, folks.